Hello, I bring you music from Kinshasa, Congo. These young men they're in Kinshasa, and they were members of violent gangs. They became musicians in this percussion band, and now are playing the rich traditional music repertoire of Congo. They tell me that music saved them. They exaggerate when saying that music making, learning to play music, can have this salvatory impact on your lives. But still, I wanted to come to a better understanding of the role music can play in social and community work, but wanted to move away from this often exaggerated salvatory discourse that we hear so often, that music has magical powers and can save lost souls. But I found that music making has internal and external benefits for people and must be an integral part of education today. Let me explain. For 4 years, I spent a lot of time in Kinshasa following these young men and also young women and boys and men who were members of the brass band of a performing community art center, Espace Masolo. Here you see the colleagues, my Congolese colleagues of the research team. And these musicians of the brass band, they were at an early age, between 6 and 10, 12, accused by their own families of being bewitched, the so-called witch children of Kinshasa. They fled their homes and their families and went to live in the streets of the city. Later on, they became musicians in the brass band of this community art center. The life for most people living in Kinshasa is they're confronted with immense limitations, especially due to poverty, but also to the corruption of authorities, politicians, police, soldiers. Surviving is a day-to-day fundamental concern there. The possible social impacts of music making are, for those participating in these music programs, at least to a certain extent, real. Thanks to music, some may navigate towards a different position in their society. Some others may get out of violence. They may get the respect of neighbors. They may be respected by as artists, musicians. They may not be seen anymore as gangsters, witch children or children in the streets. It may give them the opportunity to earn some money and to maybe hope to make one day a living with this activity, or even develop a career as musicians. all these external reasons are valid, at least to a certain extent, to understand the motivation of all these musicians to want to continue to concentrate on learning music. But I more and more understood that what really motivates them, above all, is somehow quite simply the activity of music making itself. Let's listen to Gérès. Gérès is one of the musicians of the percussion ensemble Betambonda, and you will hear this in Lingala, which is the local language, the Congolese local language, and I've translated it for you and for myself in English. So let's listen and read what Gérès has to tell us.
Soki nalobi naza mokonzi ya lindanda na ngai ya ndule, po eza eloko na nga nasalelaka mikolo nyonso. Musala na nga nde epesaka ngai lokumu mpe etambwisaka makambo na nga. Ntango nabetaka lindanda na nga, eza mpo nayebi yango malamu. Nasalelaka yango mbala ebele, ekoma lokola mai mpo na nga. Yango soki naza liboso ya batu, nazalaka na esengo ya kobeta. Esengo yango pe eza lisusu kokabola bozwi ya musala na ngai na batu baye kotala ngai.
What Gérès is mentioning here is that it takes a lot of work to master music instruments and repertoire. It requires an important commitment, especially when the external benefits are very limited. So one can really wonder, why are these musicians so attached to this activity? Even though they know that the chaos and the poverty of Kinshasa is not going to disappear through making music, they tell me that it gives them something valuable in their lives. Not the extra financial resources they need, but a certain form of what they call freedom. They are steadfast in wanting to not to be dispossessed by the barriers which poverty imposes on them. Within their physical bondage, they want to guard and preserve their precious psychological freedom. Most of the musicians I met in Kinshasa, and in fact, most musicians everywhere, are not only interested in the external benefits that music making can bring them, but also, and especially so, in learning and performing music in itself, for its own sake. This is Roger. Roger is a member of the brass band. Let's listen to him.
Kobeta ndule eza musala ya lisanga. Bokuluka kobongisa ndule lisanga. Soki lindanda misusu ezangi, ekomaka pasi pona kobeta ndule ya malonga.
Most of these musicians are not soloists. Their music starts to sound when they succeed in performing it in resonance with the others. When what each musician plays comes together well and in tune, it can result in the polyphonic sound and melody which is expected by the ensemble and in the composition. The group dynamics in these ensembles should not be underestimated. It concerns especially mutual friendships, which give the feeling of respect and security within the groups. The phenomenon of resonance makes you, of course, first of all, think of music and sounds, but it also refers here to the connections and the interconnections within the groups, within these ensembles, and between the musicians and their environment, their families, their neighbors, their audiences also. Claudel, let's listen to Claudel. Claudel is one of the musicians also of the percussion band.
Soki nazobeta ndule na ngai ata soki nanu nalie nanu te ou bien nameli nanu kopo te na ngai te na kobosana nyonso soki naza deja liboso ya lindanda na ngai makambo mosusu eza na tina te ata falanga pe eza na tina te nakoki kobeta mindule ata soki pe falanga eza te eza likambo te eloko ya mutuya mpo na nga eza esengo ya kobeta mindule soki nazwaka mosala ya mindule te mele natika bitumba ya mokili depuis banda kala nalingaka mindule makasi soki nazobeta lundanda na ngai ata soki naza na problème ou bien nazangi falanga nawelelaka kobeta mindule na ngai makanisi na nga nyonso ekotaka na kati ya mindule soki nazobeta.
I often heard musicians in Kinshasa tell me that music is taking away their day-to-day, their daily worries and problems, not being able to take care well of their families, being confronted with people who are suffering, people who are dying. But when the activity of music making finishes, this also comes back to them because music is not that much improving their material circumstances. I also often wondered why musicians in my part of the world are doing what they are doing, because learning music and performing music is so remote from any logic of efficiency and productivity. But it does not only have precious intrinsic value for people in Kinshasa, not only for them. As I said, although music making, the values of it is often exaggerated and romanticized, but it has external and internal values and must be an integral part of education today. Learning to play an instrument is a valuable, a worthwhile occupation. It's challenging because you need to work on it, practice it day after day. But more important, what attracts and motivates music is that the quality of experience that performing it affords. Thank you very much.